Good evening, guys. Tonight, we want to touch base with our grassroots and those OTs that are out in the community. And we want to answer the question that we know that you hear often and that we hear often. Tell us more about MOTA. What is it? What's the purpose? Why should we be involved? And so we want to talk about how MOTA does work for you and why it's a relevant thing to your OT career and something that we all need to consider and pay attention to. The first thing I want you to do is, we are OTs, so we have to start with a little bit of reflective practice, right? But I want you to think about, why did you become an OT? All of us have a why. All of us saw a need and saw a fit in our own personality that inspired us to go and get some OT education and meet that need. We all have a reason that we didn't choose another job, but we chose the career of occupational therapy. We all have a reason that we didn't just expand our excellent volunteerism and volunteer time, because all of us have that heart of service or we wouldn't be in the profession. And all of us have a reason that we chose the profession of occupational therapy. And so I want you to think about your why for just a minute. Each one of us has a unique perspective based on the setting and the population that we serve, where we have insight into certain injustices, healthcare disparities, inequalities for a patient population or a group of people who don't have access to the same healthcare services as others. And so I guess my next question is, what injustice do you see that needs to change in your community? Because I know if you sit and think about it, you've got a list of things you're passionate about, things that you'd like to see change for the people that you love and serve. My next question is, who do you know that needs access to occupational therapy services who doesn't currently get them? Most of us have a list, not just one example. My next question is, who will speak on your behalf to lawmakers and payer sources to make sure that you're being reimbursed for the services that you provide, to make sure that they're advocating that your rates stay equal or at a higher reimbursement rate than they've ever been before, so that your salary can stay what you expect it to be? Who's going to speak to make sure that OT still has a seat at the table when we're talking about Medicaid redesign, when we're talking about who has access to certain patient populations and what our supervision services look like and what those rules are in our Practice Act in our state? Who has those discussions on your behalf? Who makes sure that they guard and protect your job? And I think many, if not all of you, have opinions about this type of discussion. You have an opinion and a voice that you need to be sharing. So knowing that you have smart things to say, smart questions to ask, and smart pieces of discussion and perspective that we need to know, my next question is, who's going to magnify your voice in a way that guards and protects your future as an occupational therapist? Who is that? Who does that for you? And then one of my last questions is, what does your job look like in the future? Because it likely will morph and change as culture, as society, as healthcare access, and as healthcare policies morph and change. What does your job look like? And is there a job that you see where an OT should be practicing, but they're not doing that today? I think mental health is a prime example that most of us could say as one of the first on our list. OTs are very well trained as core mental health providers, and across the state of Missouri, we're not actively engaged in community practice in enough places to meet the mental health needs that we could be meeting. So that brings me to the Missouri Occupational Therapy Association is the only organization dedicated solely to the interest of occupational therapy practitioners and professional development in the Show Me State. It's us. And so when we look at what does MOTA do for our membership, we can start with those questions and that kind of advocacy, that kind of protection, and that kind of forward thinking. That is what MOTA exists to do and to work on your behalf. So MOTA magnifies your voice, protects your future, grows your future prospects for emerging practice, and to retain the workforce that we have, and to make Missouri a place that is incredibly attractive for excellent occupational therapy practitioners to want to come and work and to stay and to make their home and to make their place in the community with their families. MOTA advocates for access to occupational therapy and makes sure that we are ever expanding access to OT services instead of watching the natural culture of society would be that it starts shrinking. That's what happens if someone's not fighting to expand it. Or I don't know that fighting is the right word, but working to advocate for what occupational therapy is and what we have to offer our communities and our state. And then the other thing that we are very involved in is advocacy for policy change, looking at what's going on in the legislature, making sure that we have a voice at those tables and that we're expanding our presence in the state instead of watching it diminish because we're not able to be active. We have to be passive. We never want to be passive on your behalf. We always want to be active. So what we know is your voice needs to be heard, your opinion matters, and it matters to us. However, too few of our practitioners are connected into this organization that magnifies our voice. And we have too few perspectives represented. We've talked this week a lot about diversity and inclusion and equality and magnifying the voices at our own professional table. We've talked a lot this week about the types of legislation that we're going after to improve quality of life for our profession, for those who are practicing OT, which in turn will improve access to OT services and will make our professional skills more portable across state lines. Those things are important conversations, and we need your voice and we need your participation. And so I guess my call to action is the same that it has been over the last few years. We don't have enough active licenses on our roster at MOTA. And that I'll never get over that problem. Like, I don't understand why we don't in one sense, and I completely understand in another sense. In one sense, we need you, but most of you don't know how much we need you. And it is not a lack of caring about our profession. I would die on that hill knowing that that's the truth. Our membership is not, I almost said low. In my opinion, it's too low because you don't care. Our membership's low because we haven't magnified and put the word out about how important this is and about what we can do if we have a robust professional voice in this state. We could do amazing things. We're trying to do amazing things with very few numbers, but frankly, it's really not, there are limiting factors that we can't control if we do not have enough support from the professional community. There's no getting around that. We could be doing so much more than we're doing if we had more support from the profession. And so what I'm calling all of us to do is to recognize that that's a real issue. If we do nothing, our presence diminishes no matter how hard this small board of people fight. We can't fight a tidal wave without enough force. And healthcare right now, healthcare reform is a tidal wave. We need more support to be able to proactively and progressively move forward. We have wonderful ideas. We have a great strategy. We need more people. So that brings us to, how are you connected? Are you connected with MOTA membership? If you are, is everyone else you know on your faculty, in your workplace, in every setting that you go, are all of those OT practitioners, whether they are OT assistants who have a smaller voice right now than OT practitioners or than OT registered OTRs, Do you tell others about MOTA and about how together we could do a whole lot more? Because if you don't, that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you for membership. I'm asking you to tell others. And I'm asking you, if you have been part of us and you're feeling that tug in your heart saying, you know what, I really could help. They need me. You're not wrong. We do need you. Whether you're a student, whether you're a new practitioner, or whether you're incredibly experienced, we need all of you. We have open positions on our board. And the more that we have robust support for the volunteerism of serving on the board, the more we get done. And what I'm here to report to you, you've heard me talk in the fall and other times, we have done an incredible amount of work in the last few years. And part of that is due to expanding our board presence and expanding those who are serving through that type of professional volunteerism. And I just can't stress how valuable it is to the future of our profession and to making Missouri one of the best states to practice in the United States. That's what I want to say. So I have lots and lots of ideas for the types of things that we can expand and offer to our members for education and advocacy, and our board is just full of creative ideas. And those can happen. Those are realistic, but they're most realistic if we have you link arms with us in partnership to make it so. So that's what I'm asking for. So at this point, I want to open things up. We're going to have a short discussion